The real truth behind that, they said that many philosophers, like Sir Isaac Newton and all of the great philosophers of our time, said that they believed that the Philosopher's Stone had the power to give them regeneration or possibly even lead them to achieve immortality. So they say the greatest achievement as an alchemist is to find and achieve the Philosopher's Stone. But in 1898, other most amazing things began to take place in Aleister Crowley's life. Follow this. In 1898, while in Switzerland, Aleister Crowley met a man by the name of Julian Baker. And because they shared the common interest of alchemy, Baker introduced Crowley to a man by the name of George Cecil Jones, who was a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. This is powerful. I'm sharing with you some things that you have to see again at 11 o'clock to catch, but I want you to hear it. This Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was an OTO, or a Freemason a chapter or order. And in it, they studied something called theurgy. What did I say it was? Theurgy, which describes the practice of rituals sometimes seen as magical in nature, performed with the intention of invoking the actions and the presence of other spirits or other gods. The goal is to unite with each other and then to unite ultimately with the Divine One. But they didn't call God the Divine One. They call Satan the Divine One, the Lord of Darkness the Divine One. And whether you know it or not, there are lots of movements like that today. Theurgy is being practiced in many Christian circles. Let me give you an example. What do you think is behind these mega Christian movements like Promise Keepers? Let me give you an example. There was one instance where there was a stadium of 60,000 men, and the leader of that particular meeting that night said, okay, on the count of three, everybody scream out what their denominational name is. And at the count of three, somebody said, Baptist, Pentecostal, Methodist, Presbyterian. It sounded like confusion. He said, now, doesn't that sound terrible? So now let's try that one more time. At the count of three, we all mention the name Jesus. 1, 2, 3. And everybody said, Jesus. He said, doesn't that sound beautiful? He said, then here's the hook. If you get rid of all that you believe, we could all be unified under Jesus. So he's in essence saying, your beliefs don't really matter. And today, these mega movements that are herding people together, regardless of your denomination, talking about interdenominational or non-denominational brethren, if they use the Bible, they are some denomination. But Satan has found ways of instilling that into Christian churches today to find a way to lead them down the same path that he himself has gone down. But there's something else they practice, something called henosis. What did I say? Henosis. That is achieving unity with yourself. Now, how could you be achieving unity with yourself when you're already at unity with yourself? I mean, how many people are you? Achieving unity with yourself or with the source. They call the source a god named Monad. What was the name of that said? Monad. Now, this was, and I'm going to talk about it more tomorrow night. You'll see how diabolical this is. It is a code name. Many people don't know that the shell, and this is not satanic here, but just to show you how prevalent this name is used, the shell coding behind the Windows operating system is called the Monad system. Because through this particular system, showing you how alchemy works, through this one operating system, most of the world has been united electronically or technologically. Just showing you how it works electronically. Nothing to be fearful of. Don't throw your Windows computers away. But in that very same year, 1898, something else happened in Aleister Crowley's life. I'm showing you how he got down the path to where he is today. I got to move very quickly. In November of that same year, Aleister Crowley was initiated into the outer order of the Golden Dawn. His magical name was Frater Perdurado, which means, I shall endure unto the end. Now, does that sound Christian or not? Matthew 24, verse 13, he that shall endure unto the end shall be saved. So, Frater Perdurado was translated, I shall endure unto the end. In other words, Aleister Crowley is saying, I'll always be around. I'll be here to the very end. I'm going to stick with this all the way through. That was his initiation. That was his commitment to this outer order of the Golden Dawn. But then he moved into a hotel after his initiation, and he set up 2 rooms, one for white magic and one for black magic. You're going to see how this fits into the music industry. It's amazing. He then invited a man by the name of Alan Bennett who taught him about ceremonial magic and the ritual use of drugs, not the casual use of drugs. Let me show you how effective they were. One of those drugs of choice in the 1960s was a drug called, come on, say it aloud again, LSD. You know why? Because as you will see on Sabbath morning, I'm going to talk about how this has been assimilated for the control of the mind. Many people don't know that the real power behind the drug industry is not about you getting high, but it's about controlling your mind. It's about controlling your body, controlling your reactions. The drug of choice in the 60s was crazy. Woodstock. There are many songs that were written then that were contributed to the power of Satan in the songs to create anarchy among the people of the 60s. But LSD, the control mechanism that was used, they learned the ritual use of drugs. But going on, in 1900 to 1904, Crowley traveled the world, and he and his wife, under the assumed name of Princess and Prince K.O. Khan, they went to Egypt. And while there, March 18, 2004, Alistair's wife kept saying to him, I said, sorry, 1904, thank you, my honey. I'm so glad my wife can hear what I don't hear. In 1904, Alistair Crowley's wife, while pregnant, kept saying to him, they're waiting for you, they're waiting for you. And he thought because of the difficulties in her pregnancy that she was becoming delirious. But she kept saying, they're waiting for you. And he said, who's waiting for me? And she kept saying, they're waiting for you. So Alistair, already involved in the dark arts, he invoked a god called Thoth, T-H-O-T-H. This is what he called the dark god of knowledge. To ask this God who his wife was talking about. And when his wife found out about it, she says, well, let me tell you who's trying to contact you. The god Horus and his messenger are trying to contact you. And so Alistair Crowley began to ask her questions, particularly about this Awas and this god Horus, that she should not know because she'd never studied this, and she described them according to Egyptology to the T, and he said, she must be telling the truth. And so Alistair decided himself he was going to respond to the god of Horus. But in order to do that, he was led to a particular museum, the Bolquat Museum, and he was shown an exhibit, a particular exhibit that this god told him to go find, and the exhibit was inventoried with the number 666. So Alistair said, I'm going to take this as a sign. So he began invoking the god Horus in his room. Here's a picture of the god Horus that he was invoking in his room. It's an amazing creature, but this is going back to the old Egyptian picture of the god Horus. You'll find out how significant that is. Horus was an ancient god, or the ancient god of the sun, also called Amun-Ra, the sun Ra, or the sun rays. They say sun Ra, we say sun rays, the god of the sun. This was the god that opened to them the avenue of sun worship in the ancient Egyptian culture. The eye of Horus is an ancient Egyptian symbol of protection. It also gives you royal power. You'll see how this is prevalent in the hip-hop industry today. It also gives you good health, but there's something else amazing about it. This is the god, they say, that hears their prayers when they pray. You may meet people in the New Age movement that say they pray, or some of the occult world that say they pray. When they pray, they're not praying to the God of heaven. When they pray, they don't pray in Jesus' name. When they say they believe in prayer, they're not saying they believe in Jesus. You see, I don't believe in prayer. I believe in the one to whom I pray. Because a lot of people pray. There are books you could buy on the art of prayer, but that's to pray to some spirit somewhere. You got to keep your mind focused on Jesus. Can you say amen to that? So they believe in prayer. And by the way, here's a picture of the eye of Horus. I'm going to show you this so that when we begin to show you this later on in the series, you'll understand exactly what this eye is all about. There it is. You'll notice a lot of people see the eye, but most people miss the teardrop. That thing that's hanging down is a teardrop. Why is a teardrop coming from the eye of Horus? The god of Horus has today become the single most prevalent icon of the entertainment industry. I'll show you some of the musicians that use that in their artwork, in their clothing, in their videos. You'll see that tomorrow night. Many musicians display this eye as a symbol of their allegiance to the philosophies of Aleister Crowley. This man was satanic. To say he was satanic is an understatement. Now, let me show you the eye of Horus again, but I'll show you in two different ways. Look at this graphic. You're going to see the right eye of Horus and the left eye of Horus. The right eye of Horus is associated with the sun. The left eye of Horus is associated with the moon. So the point of it is, whether you worship the god during the day or during the night, he's in essence saying, I'm the god of the day and the god of the night. He's not my god of the day. What about you? But he's saying he has that all supreme, he's the God that reigns during the day and that God that reigns during the night. And by the way, today, if you look around, if you begin to just take note of where this eye shows up, the eye of Horus is also called the third eye. In India, have you ever seen that? The little dot on the forehead? The third eye. The eye that sees more than these other two can. The eye of wisdom, the eye of intense knowledge. The all-seeing eye, the illuminated eye, the illuminated eye, the eye of the illuminated one. Look at these three graphics, one after the other. I'm going to show you some of the non-lethal places that it shows up. Look at the very first one here. Today you'll see this eye on the CBS logo, or at the top of the US dollar bill, the unfinished pyramid. You'll find out what that's all about. How and when is that pyramid going to be finished? Here's another one, the Nickelodeon, one of the introductions to the Nickelodeon. Hold that there, let me explain some things. Notice the eyes all over the place. Also the lightning rod, or the strike of lightning, another symbol, satanic symbol. Now, brethren, can you imagine? Nickelodeon is a children's channel. And parents, to keep their children busy, they sit them down in front of television and say, watch cartoons. What should I watch, Mommy? Watch the Disney Channel or Nickelodeon. Brethren, the two most evilly based channels for cartoons. I mean, get them the Flintstones or something. Go back to that old stuff that was just funny, or the Jetsons or something. Some of the young people don't even know what that is. Have you seen children's cartoons nowadays? Evil. I heard once I was walking through somebody's house, I went to visit them, I heard this blood-curdling, awful tone, and I looked, and I thought it was a demonic movie. It was a cartoon, and the kid was just pasted right in front of that television. And these networks, I'll tell you about that, how Disney World, how the quote-unquote magic kingdom, a place of enchantment, is designed to get the children from the time they are young. Children are being conditioned from infancy. That's why when they get to a particular age where they can begin to reason, they don't have space for God. Because you sat them in front of a box that has conditioned their minds down a different road. I'll talk about how adults are being conditioned. Here's another one that may frighten you, but this is a fact. Look at the third one I want to show you here right now. It is the official patch of NASA. This is one of the most recent patches. Notice a couple of things. The eye of Horus in the center, but then there's a triangle that seems to be illuminated. You'll find that this power, this God of Horus, this God of illumination, is not just in music, not just in movies. It's in political circles. It's in circles of power. It's in circles of prestige, military circles. It's in medical circles. It's everywhere. Satan has an agenda for the entire world. What I'm going to do tomorrow night, and I'll show you just a few more in just a moment here, and I'm going to walk a little faster now. I've got to go back to talking like a New Yorker. Is that okay? Can you listen like a New Yorker? Here we go. On April 8th, 1904, Aleister Crowley, he first heard a voice talking to him and calling itself Awis. Crowley said he heard the voice over his left shoulder. He said that he wrote down everything the voice told him, and in 3 days he completed his first book entitled Liber al Veligis, or the Book of the Law. Here's a picture of that book with Aleister Crowley. His picture next to that book. Does he look demonic or what? You got the all-seeing eye on his forehead. You got the Star of David, whether it's upside down or right side up, it's the same 5-point pentagram star. And that's the book, Liber al Veligis. Look at the very next graphic, because the focal point of this book is, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. That's the principle. In other words, do what you want to do. For those of you from the 80s, you may remember that song by the Isley Brothers, It's Your Thing. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you who the socket to. Yeah, the It's Your Thing generation. The same philosophy. Do whatever you want to do. It really doesn't matter. And people say, why you want to mess with me? I'm just doing my thing. Remember that phrase? I'm just doing my thing. No, friends, either you're doing God's thing or you're doing the devil's thing. What do you say?